with Diane Boone, who's the founder and organizer of the Festival of Unity. And David, I know you invited Diane here because you're very proud of what she's doing. So you're going to ask the first question.
Well, all right, Judge, and welcome everyone to ECTV Live. Diane, I was very interested in your festival for a number of different reasons, and I have to be honest with you. One of those reasons is that diversity is actually a very controversial subject in our country right now on many, many levels. As the judge said, you came up with this idea to take that diversity and turn it into unity, I guess 6 years ago, because this will be the 6th annual Festival of Unity. So I guess the obvious first question is, what is the Festival of Unity?
Well, the Festival of Unity is a day of social interaction to bring the different cultures together under one sky for a day of fellowship. And there's a lot of different cultures in Scranton. It's a beautiful mix of people. And this is the opportunity to see the different mixes of merging cultures and bring them together with traditional cultures. Basically something like that. The vision is to bring all the cultures together for one day.
What made you think that Scranton, the Lackawanna County, the northeastern Pennsylvania, needed a festival of this sort?
It wasn't a need, or maybe it was a need, but it was something. It was something I was passionate about. Was, you know, I involved myself with the different cultures, and I've done a lot of community work with different aspects of the community. So I knew a lot of people, and the idea was to bring them all together. You know, to celebrate. Some of the things that I used to highlight in my publication were the different people in the community. So bringing them together for the first annual, it became an event of unity. All these people coming together.
Now, Diane, when you say Festival of Unity, I assume you have music, entertainment, and people congregate and they enjoy themselves. So when is this scheduled, and what do you have scheduled?
Well, we have scheduled this year, we have a full day of entertainment. We have educational entertainment as well as local artist entertainment. So for the educational entertainment, we have Frank Little Bear from First Nation, Native American. We have the Bhutanese Nepali community of Scranton. They'll be doing a cultural dance, and they'll be there in their traditional attire. We have our jazz with Clarence Spady. We have Wally and the Paw Packs, who does rock party, jam type style music. We have Wepa, which is a Mexican, or not, I'll just say Latino. Band that'll be performing.
Now, all this is one day?
All in one day.
And when is the day?
The day is Saturday, this coming Saturday, July 10th.
July 10th. And what time does it start?
It starts at 10 a.m. and we have guest speakers, which Janet Evans will be one of our guest speakers, and we'll have, his name is Odell Winfield from Poughkeepsie, New York. He's one of the co-founders of the African Roots Library, something we may be thinking about bringing here or starting here. And we also have Jay Patel of Econo Lodge. He'll be speaking.
And I know David has some questions, but one more question. Where would people go to attend this festival? What's the address, and is it on the street?
It's 1900 Mulberry Street at Nayog Park, right across from the Everhart. We're at the pavilion across from the Everhart.
Pavilion across from the Everhart. Okay, that's great.
I want to get back to this need again because I did a little research before I came today, and obviously the 2010 census information is still being developed, but some of this census information was updated in 2003, and at that time, Diane, when we look at the Scranton area, black or African, 3% of the population listed as black or African. We had 0.1% listed as American Indian or Alaskan, Asian 1.1%, persons of Hispanic or Latino origin 2.6%. And this is interesting because none of those numbers exceeded the Latino Hispanic at 2.6%, and yet, and Judge, you'll find this interesting, people using a language other than English in their home, 7%. So obviously there is this intermix of culture that is developing in the greater Scranton area. That was an update in 2003. Without specific figures, how do you see that mix at this point in time?
Well, it's amazing you brought that up because I actually worked as the partnership specialist for Census 2010. And I served 16 counties reaching out to the diverse communities that don't generally participate in the census. So I was able to witness lots of diversity, growing populations in the area. And I think you'll see when the 2010 census come out, December 31st, a different number, greater numbers, especially in the Latino community. The African American community, I believe, is growing as well. As far, and even the Asian community, I've seen in my travels as a partnership specialist, a greater number than the 2003 sample, or 2007, I think it's 2008 maybe, the latest statistics of
Now,
Scranton.
these ones are a little bit old, but I'm wondering, something you just said intrigues me. Why do some of these various groups seem reluctant to fill out their census information?
Well, I think it's a lack of trust. They don't, understand the government, how the government runs, and they get misinformation. So they think that if and we are dedicated to confidentiality, but they don't understand that. They think if they give the true information, which they may not be living in their apartment, they might have more people than should be, so they don't want to tell the truth because they're afraid that they'll get in trouble. But what we try to stress, and my job was to help them realize that it doesn't matter we don't care about your legal status or anything. We just want to get an accurate count of all the people in this nation. And my goal was all the people in Northeast Pennsylvania. So I think we were able to do that in partnering with different organizations of people that they trusted to help them understand, how, we really focused on confidentiality and they would not get in trouble, and we didn't share the information with any other organization.
We should point out that count is very important
It's
to everyone.
very important. $400 billion is based on the information, the population, the states get, let's say, excuse me, $400 billion is distributed to all the states based on the population count. And
So
if you don't have the correct count, you're not going to get your correct amount of funds.
You won't get your share of
Right.
what is available
Right.
if you don't have that
for
count.
for what you need, the services you need for the people who are here. So we had a tremendous outreach in the Latino community and the African American community to get them to understand that the service they need to be provided will be based on them, being counted.
Diane, I noticed that David even mentioned before, this is not the first year. It was started on June 25th, 2004, and you were one of the organizers. Has the crowd increased every year from 2000? Now it's 2010. I expect that you'll have a nice crowd there.
Yeah, well, we're expecting a really nice crowd. It has fluctuated. From the beginning, the first one was really good. I think it was the second one, it rained and we hardly got anyone. And then the third one was excellent. And it depends on the weather, but usually people come out regardless of the weather. And this year, with the new committee, because before I really didn't have a secure committee, but this year, everybody went out of their way to, make this a success. So we've gotten tremendous response.
Diane, you know what I was thinking, David? When people go to festivals, they like to stand around, see all the different people who are performing, but they also like to eat.
Oh, we have.
Do you have any food vendors?
Yes, we have. We'll have Northern soul food, Southern soul food, Honduran, Mexican, American food. We have. It's listed in there somewhere.
Oh, it is. So you do have vendors.
Yes,
that's
we have
wonderful.
Vendors. And merchandise vendors. They'll be selling unique, merchandise.
You were kind enough to bring some photos along from some of the past events, and we're going to train on those now. And of course, the underlying thing is you want everybody to have fun.
Absolutely, it's going to be fun.
Well, I can tell you right now, I'm going to have my wife and my son there. We'll be there.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, we'll be
and
there.
we'll also have pony rides by Brook Valley Farm, sponsored by Penn Security Bank. So the kids will get to have free rides, thanks to Penn Security.
Yeah.
Diane, is there in our area, and I don't think we've seen problems manifest here as much as in some other areas, but is there still too much them and us?
I wouldn't say so. I think Scranton is a great area, and as far as diversity, they're embracing diversity where some communities don't. The thing that's missing is the opportunity for social interaction to get to know each other. So you don't know really how to approach people, or you're afraid that you may not be welcome. And here is the opportunity to get to know people, learn their first names, and meet up with them later on in the year, or when you see them, you begin to know them. And that way, we'll feel more comfortable about joining things and being a part of, what's going on when you get to know people. So this is another reason why I do that and have the different coaches together, because I want to know people's name when I see them later on in the year and feel comfortable about going to see them because I met them at the festival.
Right. I noticed this starts at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. You have Janet Evans and Odell Winfield as your speakers, and it ends at the finale is 8 o'clock at night, so it's a
Yes,
long day.
it's a long
It's going to be a
day.
long day for you.
Yes, it is, but I usually make it through. I make it through well.
Now, Janet Evans, who is president of City Council at this time, has always been very big on diversity. So I'm
Absolutely.
gathering you to have a lot of support from people in various official positions throughout this area.
Yes, yes.
Dan, what does it cost to run something like this? I mean, is it all volunteers? There has to be some investment involved. And where does that come from?
And you know what? I have lost, contact with being able to, because in the past I've been doing it myself and I wasn't getting the sponsorship I need, or I lost the opportunity, or I started too late. And what I usually do is, this is all I give volunteers. Everyone that's performing has volunteered to perform, and everyone that's working with it has volunteered. So it's more like a driven by the people. To make this happen. And I know down the line when we are able to get sponsors, it would cost quite a bit in order to do it properly, like, promotion and things like that. So I had to depend on, free promoting, like thank you for allowing me to be on this show, and just finding all the ways of doing it without cost. And, people volunteering and helping out. So.
Well, I think that this is a very important topic because, as I said at the beginning of the program, you have a situation in the country today where we're talking about securing our borders, investing in walls and fences, and that may or may not affect the number of people coming into the United States. But in the meantime, we have a lot of people who are already here. And I think, and I have no figures to back this up, but I think that the bulk of the people who are here legally. But they're from small groups. Now, that may be the case, but Judge, as you well know, this whole area was founded that very way. You had the Irish coming in, and they had their neighborhoods back in the days when coal was king, and you had the Italians coming in. Some of those festivals, and you've talked about this before, Judge, some of the festivals that originated in those days are still very, very popular now.
Right. That's right.
But they don't just attract the ethnic group for whom those festivals were designed.
That's right, and there's a diversity. And the best example is the St. Ubaldo Festival in Jessup, which goes back 1,000 years in Italy, and it's in Gubbio, Italy. It started in Jessup like after World War II, and it's still going on today. And you get all kinds of ethnic groups there, and it's David, in Jessup alone, and Diane, this is like on that weekend of St. Ubaldo Festival, we get about 30 to 40,000 visitors.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, that's the
running,
truth.
yeah.
Picture Courthouse Square on the day of the St. Patrick's Parade and on the day of the Italian Festival. Now, you're not going to tell me that all those people are either
No.
Italian at the Italian Festival or
No.
Irish for St. Patrick's Parade.
That's why this is such a great idea, Diane.
And
And
that's
you deserve
why
a lot of credit. You really do.
I thought about that. It's like I love the Italian festival. I love St. Patrick's Day. I love all the Greek festival. All of those, you know, I go out. But what if there's a day where all the different cultures are together, so you can get the different foods from the different cultures and learn a little something about it on that day where each one is there. Like I'd love to, and it's my vision and my goal in the future to have Italian, Irish, Greek, all vendors and entertainment and educational exhibits of these different cultures that are here and unique to Lackawanna County or Northeast PA at this event for the children's sake, to say, you know, they also see their culture and they can be proud and they can see other cultures and they can learn something from it, and then they'll know somebody's name at the end of the day. And that's the vision.
If I could just say this, David, because again, I know people love food. When people go to festivals, they love to eat. But I found where it says food vendors, Diane, and it'll take 10 seconds, but Diane has Italian ices, hot dogs, burgers, Philly cheese, beef patties, Honduran food, Mexican food, Southern soul food. She has homemade potato chips, fritas. She has natural ice slushies, Honduran food, Northern soul food, Caribbean food, and Jamaican food. How about that?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
That is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And David, you want to know something? I'm going to try every one of them. When I go Saturday, I'm going to try every one of these.
Well, you better be careful just how much mix is there. Now, obviously, as the judge suggested, the food is representative of those various cultures.
Right.
Are there other representations of those cultures? I mean, I guess music would be one.
Music, we have dance, we have educational demonstrations, and we'll have speakers like the Nepali, the Bhutanese Nepali community of Scranton. They're going to do a talk about their culture. They'll have an exhibit with things from their culture, and they're going to do cultural dances. So that's educational entertainment. And Frank Little Bear, of course, maybe you have seen him or witnessed him. He's going to do a demonstration and speak about Native American culture. So with those things added, it's just not just fun entertainment, it's educational entertainment. He'll also have exhibits out as well about the Native American culture.
And now I can see where that's extremely important, because in some cases, and a Native American might be a perfect example, some of what we have assumed about Native Americans, for instance, comes from motion pictures of years ago that always had the Native American, the Indian, as the bad person and the ruthless person. And especially for some younger people, that may have been their only touch with Native Americans.
Right. And in this community, sometimes it's the only touch with the African American community, the Latino community. They don't really see the live interaction. So this is a day where you can actually see that just like you, they just from a different culture, but they, you know, we're all people. And it's enjoyable. Over the years, it's been enjoyable. I've learned a lot. I've met a lot of people.
Are you getting nervous, Diane, because Saturday's not
Yeah.
far away,
Yeah.
and you feel apprehensive because
Yeah.
you're saying, I hope people show up, I hope it's a nice day. You can't control that.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, I got an order in for sunshine, and I believe I'll get that order. But you know, it's all you're always that last week. You know, there's some
Sure.
things that I still have to tie the ends to,
Right.
and then I get really nervous.
You
But
get nervous.
That's part of the job.
You're not going to sleep Friday night.
Oh no,
Yeah,
no.
right. Well, after Janet Evans' speech, I'm going to take her around and buy her whatever she wants here for the food vendor. She'll
Oh, and
enjoy it.
there's another thing. We have the United Cultures Leadership Institute, and this is something new we're trying with Larry Pugliese. He's going to do the Sojourner Truth Symposium to ask the question, who is Scranton? Now, this is going to be interesting because we've gotten guest panelists to address this question from the Latino community, the Native American community, the African American community, and also the East Indian community. So they're going to be panelists, and then the guests will be able, visitors will be able to interject into who is Scranton. And I think that's awesome, and we'll see how it works. And that'll start around 1:30.
You have a nice, colorful poster about the events, and I'm just going to bring that up right now for Anthony George, our cameraman, to have a look at that poster, and people will see these around town, I'm sure. Diane, do some of the other headlines that we see, this controversy right now about the borders and securing the borders, the tremendous controversy in Hazleton right now, as you know, the mayor there enacted some legislation that was ultimately ruled illegal, and I guess there's been an appeal and things, but those headlines suggest some friction between various groups, ethnic groups and communities or rules and regulations. When you see those headlines, does that affect us in this area as well? Do people feel bad? Do they feel put down, put upon because of what they see elsewhere?
Well, I think, the media could do a better job at, steering away from the negativity of it. Obviously, we do need immigration laws. And I've tried to share the what's really in that law, which is not that bad. But what it is that because we don't have this social interaction with the different communities, they formulate their own ideas about what it is, and it's always negatives. But I think that through efforts like this, when you get to know people and they can really sit down and really get past the negative stuff and hash out what's really going on, then they'll understand some things have to happen, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative impact on an entire community. But because there's no interaction, no real dialogue going on yet, it's my goal, I'm gonna change that. People formulate their own opinions and their own ideas, and they feed off of the negativity, and I think that's what needs to change.
I must admit, as a 50-year broadcast veteran, that the media does tend to focus on negative events, and you can't ignore those events. Walter Cronkite once described news as working in a linen factory, and you see the white linen coming off the machines, and there's a dark spot, and your eyes go to that dark spot. So
right.
It is the news media's job, in a sense, to call your attention to that dark spot. It's the editorialist's job to suggest perhaps how you can eradicate that spot. And yet, is there not room as well to tell people about the beautiful linen that's coming out
Right,
and
right,
after the dark spot?
And maybe how the spot may have gotten there, and the solution to removing the spot.
Sure.
And that's what I focus on. I like to focus on positive things. So if there's problems in the immigration law, what are the solutions to those problems? Once you know those solutions, then you don't have to be afraid of the law. Follow the solutions to it. If you feel like you're being treated unjust, then there's due process to get past that. Those are the things that I like to focus on and tell people. There's a due process. If you feel like you're being treated unfairly, we have laws that will address that, and a process that'll help you get to that point.
And fortunately, good jurists like our colleague Judge Munley, who
will be
course,
fair.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
exactly.
you don't have to fear. And if you have issues with being illegal or not up to what you should be, you have the ability to be up to what you should be. You have the ability to become legal.
Sure.
So those things is what I focus on.
Diane, I'm looking at your program schedule. You have interesting people coming in to perform. And first of all, are you the one who chooses the people who will perform? Is that your job?
Well, actually, we have an audition for the local artists, like the kids in the community who are aspiring artists. We have them come in and we do auditions. We set up an audition day. So they all come in, but my goal is to make sure that their performance is family friendly and no lewdness and things like that. So that's what I want to see when I do it. And we choose the ones that really will, make a show for us. So that's how we do it. And I had a committee that actually sat down and judged.
Because a lot of these people are not familiar to me. They sound very interesting. Of course, Clarence Spady is. I've seen Clarence Spady perform. He's fantastic.
Love him. Love him.
But Frank Littlebear, he's going to have a demonstration. How did you get him?
Well, I met him years ago. We did an event, and I met him, and I try to stay in touch with him through different things. I worked with him with the census this year, and we had a confusion of last year. He was supposed to perform, and it kind of got mixed up of the venue, and it didn't work out. And you know, he was on board for this year. So, you know, these are personal relationships that I have ongoing.
Right.
And,
Where does he
I'm
live?
grateful that
He's not local, I know that.
Right now he's in New York, I believe
New
it
York,
is.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doing this for 6 years, I'm kind of curious. You're bound to speak to people when those tents are coming down, when the vendors are folding up their wares for the day. What kind of response are you getting from the people who give demonstrations and from the people who come to see demonstrations?
I get a lot of responses. Usually, you know, it makes, you know, in putting this together, you kind of feel it's too much. And every year I say I'm never going to do it again until they come up and say they really enjoyed themselves, or they learned something, or they looking forward to next year while they're tearing down their tents, you know, things like that. So I'm like, if you could look forward to next year, maybe, maybe I can continue to do it. But yeah, I get a lot of good response. The event is always positive, is always family friendly. It's been great, just great.
What do you hear from the kids who attend? Because therein lies the real key to diversity in the future, the key of getting children to understand that we're all Americans, we're all one people. Scrantonians, Lackawanna County, northeastern Pennsylvania, because I happen to live in Luzerne County. What kind of response, what do you see from the kids who come?
Well, let me just say this personal experience. My kids are all grown now, but when I first started, I still had a couple of teens, and that's the only event that I was able to enjoy their company all day. So they, you know, they really enjoyed it. They stayed the whole day. They weren't really helping, but they were enjoying themselves. And the kids in the community, I see them all year long. I work with them, you know, help them out, doing things all the time. And they can't wait for the Unity Festival.
Right.
And then the auditions, it's like we have to turn people away because this is their opportunity to show off, you know. They don't have to be really, really good. They just have to, you know, perform and be prepared to perform. And we have to turn people away. So this is something that the kids look forward to.
Well, we're out of time, David, but I just want to say that the sun will shine on Saturday. We're going to have a nice day.
Yes.
But, and David, this was a great show. And before I say goodbye to everybody, I want to thank Anthony George for the great job he did for us, our cameraman. Mark Migliore is another cameraman we have. He's not here today, but thank you, Anthony. And Diane, you were a great guest.
Thank you.
You really were a
Diane,
great guest.
one quick other question. Any charge to come to the festival?
There's no charge to come in. I just wanted to make one more statement that we also doing a Festival Unity blood drive working with the American Red Cross of Lackawanna County. So that's going to be interesting too.
All right.
Great.
that
But there's
sounds
no
good.
charge to come.
No charge to come. So, David, if you could, I'd appreciate it if you show up Saturday. I already made a commitment to be there, Diane.
Okay.
So this is Judge Tom Munley on behalf of my co-host, David DeCosmo, and our great guest, Diane Boone. Thank you so much for being here
Thank
today.
you for having me.
We will see you again next Monday on ECTV Live.